Baseball in New York has crashed into the high holidays. Congratulations to the Mets and Yankees and all their fans. As a fan, it comes down to my team and everyone else becomes the enemy. While there can be some begrudging respect for the talent on the other team, us versus them is the way that sports thrive. Such a sports mentality has seemingly overtaken much of the rest of the world. Everything has become all or nothing, black or white, living on the extremes. In the midst of a presidential election, we are surrounded only by animosity and hate. While president elections have been ugly since Adams versus Jefferson in 1800, vitriol is endlessly spewed today as to why we should hate one another. Ezra Klein explained it this way in his book, Why We're Polarized. So here then is the last 50 years of American politics summarized. We became more consistent in the party we vote for, not because we came to like our party more, indeed we've come to like the parties we vote for less, but because we came to dislike the opposing party more. Even as hope and change sputter, fear and loathing proceed. It's not just elections. It seems most aspects of life are pushed to being defined on the edges. It's what I believe and the opposite, which must be wrong. You're either woke or a bigot, a patriot or a communist. If you offer a critical opinion on something, the response is, why do you hate me? The Roman emperor's thumbs up and down to a gladiator is now the way to respond to anything. Over the last year, this has become the norm in reacting to others about Israel. In the month that followed the horrific Hamas terrorist attacks, standing up for Israel's right to self-defense was called genocide. Likewise, any statement by a non-Jew or even a Jew seeking a peace deal was called anti-Israel or even anti-Semitic. You were either all in for Netanyahu or you are a Hamas sympathizer. There was no space for any other approach. Support for Israel shouldn't be described as all or nothing. Yet we've seemingly been forced into extremist positions that most people don't hold. It is possible to defend Israel and stand by the Jewish homeland while still being concerned for Palestinian civilians. One can want the end of Hamas while demanding the immediate return of the hostages. We can question the Israeli government's long-term plans for the region while refusing to accept a world where missiles can pour into the cities of Israel while the world stands silent. You can wonder about Israel's actions without being an anti-Semite. You can support Israel without being a racist. Nuance seems to have been wholly lost. F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see things that are hopeless, yet be determined to make them otherwise." Isn't that Judaism? Haven't we always been able to hold cognitive dissidence, holding conflicting and contrasting viewpoints simultaneously? Free will and fate, an all-powerful God, and a God that is personal to me, a chosen people, and the responsibility of tikkun olam to all, love and support for our Jewish community, and welcome and acceptance to the wider world. We are sophisticated enough to struggle with multiple opinions at the same time. Cable news channels have made a living off this polarization. They often have a strong bias towards certain viewpoints and label differences of opinion with partiality and contempt. In attempts to claim objectivity, they'll put up commentators or guests with entirely opposite viewpoints, but they ignore the vast span between those ideas where the majority of people live. Based on the news channels, you'd think reproductive rights was the option of banning all abortion, conception, and medical procedures versus killing babies after they were born. There are people who hold the first opinion. No one has the second. It's only when they are teenagers that we consider killing them. In reality, the majority of our country agrees that obtaining an abortion should be a decision made by a woman in consultation with her doctor without the government's involvement. You'd never know it from watching the news. Disagreements are the foundations of a healthy, pluralistic society. Our world's diversity expands our understanding and makes life more interesting. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs has written that the differences are a positive thing and a way to expand our perspectives and ideas. The world's variety reflects God's creation, and we should appreciate the range of human expression. This may be true in the choice of restaurant cuisines available to us, but not when we disagree on almost anything else. It isn't something simple like, "I loved this movie, it moved me," and a differing reply, "I didn't have that experience. I found the film simplistic and a little dull." It is now, "I loved this movie," and the reply, "You are an idiot for liking this movie." The toxic polarization has moved from a disagreement on a subject to "I don't like who you are." A person with opposing views has become not just wrong, but evil. On Passover, when we read about the 4 children, the wicked son offers a complicated take. That child says, "What does this ritual mean to you?" The Haggadah notes the use of "you." The child has separated themselves from their own community, turning it into "you who observes this archaic ritual," and "me who is of right mind." That the text calls him the wicked child shows we have been repudiating opposing viewpoints with name-calling for millennia. Rejecting others completely for their beliefs and following it up with insults has become our normalized behavior. Have you ever had a Facebook argument? This would apply to most any forms of social media where commenting is allowed. There is no discussion, no back and forth, no actual debate. It is simply name-calling and dismissing anyone who doesn't wholeheartedly endorse your predetermined conclusion. Ultimately, someone will always bring up the Nazis or Hitler, a result that happens so regularly that there is a term for it, Godwin's Law, which asserts any online discussion continues long enough, someone will almost certainly compare someone else to a Nazi or Hitler. When we engage in such hostile interactions, we dismiss the humanity of a person with differing views. Author John A. Powell calls this othering. If the other person is not worthy of our respect as a person, we can marginalize anything they have to say. In sports, it's not enough to root for your home team, but you need to vilify the opposing players and even their fans. This form of othering from sports is played out in talking about immigrants or a transgender individual or women or blacks or Zionists or anyone you disagree with. If they aren't worthy of being treated with basic human dignity, it enables you to commit acts of cruelty and even violence against them. In the extreme, you have the Nazis' treatment of the Jews, but I won't use that example because I don't want Godwin's Law to show up. As othering further divides us, ironically, our need for belonging is revealed. We want to be surrounded by support and community. Disagreement is perceived as a painful attack, as a rejection, so we seek groups of comfort. Groups are a good thing. Our temple is a group of support. While there isn't unanimity on the issues, we share many beliefs that connect us together. When faced with a world that attacks, rejects, and even harms people for their identity, we draw strength from coming together. This past Monday night, commemorating the one-year yahrzeit of the October 7th attack, it was especially meaningful to gather with the Jewish community and supportive allies in reflection and grief. Today, we come together as an RTFH family to find healing in a place we can safely belong. We seek belonging. We crave connection. A significant step forward is to find ways to relate to people even when we have differences. Rabbi Sachs argues that we should respect people's differences, not just tolerate them, to create a truly free society. We can cut across identities, from the very simple, I'm a Mets fan and you are a Yankees fan, but we both like baseball, to the more complex. We may have disagreements on Israel, but we both want people to live in peace and safety. When we turn our story from me and mine to the story of us and ours, we bridge the connection between us. On Yom Kippur, we use the first person plural in most of our prayers. We all come to this day with different struggles, but together we are a people seeking repentance and healing. Every person thinks his burden is the heaviest, wrote Bob Marley. We all hold pain. If we share it, if we lift each other up, if we find commonalities, it becomes a lot easier. In a world of polarization, we must find ways to come together. We don't have to start with the people with the most extreme views that are different than our own, but we have to be careful about rejecting people who simply disagree with us. We have so much else in common. We have to share our world. Can we find bridges to each other? Can we at least find ways to respect another person's humanity and not use contempt and cruelty as our way of interacting? The test of faith is whether I can make space for difference. Can I recognize God's image in someone who is not in my image, whose language, faith, and ideals are different than mine? If I cannot, then I have made God in my image. The world is our family. We don't have to like everyone in our family or agree with what they say or believe. The path towards the future can not only be insult and rejection. What do we have in common? In this divided world, I pray we can find a bridge to stop tearing each other down. Divided we fall. Let us find a way to together build a better tomorrow. Shana Tova.